Yesterday evening, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, through its regional office in Bungoma, arrested two persons. These are two ladies who had impounded the goods from a mini supermarket in a town called Kakamega Shopping Center, that is in Shinyalu constituency within Kakamega County. The two individuals who were arrested by the commission had impounded goods from a mini shop, purporting that those goods were expired. But what is amazing is that these individuals work for a private entity that has been posing as a law enforcement body, arresting individuals. The fellows working there were purporting to be law enforcement officers who have been going around harassing traders, inspecting trade licenses, inspecting goods in shops and other business premises, purporting to be enforcing the law, checking whether the traders have licenses, whether the goods meet what they were referring to as the standards prescribed in the law. And then, after arresting the traders, these individuals have been demanding bribes ranging from 20,000 to 50,000 per trader in order to purportedly forbear charging the traders in court. So upon receipt of a complaint from one of those affected, EACC mounted an operation leading to the arrest of the two while they were receiving the bribe amount. They were escorted to Ayenka police station where they have been detained pending processing by EACC in accordance with the law. The commission is considering releasing them on cash bail because there are aspects of the investigation that need to be completed. For instance, EACC will need to record statements. And this is because when the two ladies were arrested, many other traders within that area came forth and alleged that they were also victims. In other words, these are individuals who have been going around collecting money ranging from 20,000 to 50,000 per trader, purporting that they are conducting investigations and claiming that their victims have violated the law, and therefore they needed that bribe so that they absolve them of any blame. The other thing is that the entity, being a private one, is also said to have been undertaking criminal law enforcement functions, including arrests. In fact, they had purported to arrest the attendant of that supermarket where they impounded goods, purporting that those goods had expired, and therefore they needed that owner to pay a bribe of 50,000 so that they could forbear preferring charges against them. What EACC wants members of the public to know is that there are many fraudsters on the loose. There are many people out there who are conning and suspecting members of the public, including public officials, pretending to be officers of EACC or other enforcement bodies. There are many people out there who are going around extorting money from the public, claiming that they are undertaking investigations against those people, and therefore the solicitation of the bribe is aimed at enabling them to skew the investigations in their favor. EACC wishes to tell members of the public that it does not ask for bribes in order to subvert the criminal justice process. Therefore, any person who comes asking for a bribe in order to provide some assistance is not an officer of EACC. Many questions have been put to us. How can citizens distinguish between a fake EACC detective and a real investigator of the commission on official duty? This is what members of the public are supposed to look at. One, most of those fraudsters call the suspects, summoning them to funny places, including hotels. EACC does not summon people to hotels or any other places outside an EACC office, whether at the headquarters or a regional office or a police station. So any person who is summoning you to meet them in a hotel is not an EACC officer. Number two, other fraudsters have been calling members of the public and public officials, telling them that they are seated with a representative of the DPP and they wanted to assist. Mimi niko hapa, kuna yule wa DPP yako hapa, na tuko na faili yako. It is important to clarify that EACC does not summon people jointly with the DPP. In fact, anybody summoning you, purporting to be having your file and doing so from the DPP is most likely a fraudster, because that happens at the level of investigations. Number three, when EACC requires to summon a person, we do that through formal communication. Most fraudsters do summon their victims through calls. Some of them have gone to the extent of registering their number in such a way that when the number calls you, then the true caller will indicate EACC Integrity Center. Some of them have even used names of non-investigators of the commission and registered their mobile phones through that, so that when it calls, it talks about so-and-so from EACC. We want to clarify and advise members of the public that EACC summons suspects through official communication. We only make calls as a follow-up, for instance, to verify if one is attending an interview or to even seek clarification on a matter. So anybody who is summoning you through a phone call and there is no formal communication by way of a letter from EACC, that is most likely a fraudster, and it is important to verify. Number four, there are those who will even call you and ask you to meet them at Integrity Center. We recently had an interesting case where somebody came to Integrity Center just like any other member of the public, because this is a public office, and summoned their victim from here, asking them to come to Integrity Center. Then when the victim came, the suspect asked them whether they prefer, that he goes out so that they meet outside Integrity Center, or they want to come in. And they met at the parking. He was conned, hundreds of thousands, and yet this is a fraudster. So we urge members of the public to be vigilant, and if a suspect is a public official, EACC will only summon you through the hierarchy of the public service. I say this because we have others who have forged letterheads and they write directly to public officials, purporting to be carrying out lifestyle audits on them or any other form of investigation, and then asking for money so that they absolve them from criminal culpability. So if you are a public official and you are getting a letter that is addressed to you directly and you are not the accounting officer or at a level where you would receive correspondence on matters of your organization, then it is important to verify, because as a practice, public officers are summoned by EACC through the hierarchy of the public service. And therefore, unless members of the public are vigilant, unless they cooperate with the EACC by way of exposing those who are extorting them, then this is a challenge that may continue to give us problems. The final thing on that issue is that we are amazed at the level of readiness of many Kenyans to bribe their way out of perceived trouble. Because it is difficult to understand why an individual comes to you from the blues and they tell you that they are undertaking investigations against you, and then you are so quick to give them money. That readiness of most Kenyans to bribe their way out of perceived trouble, including manufactured corruption allegations, has contributed to this problem in a significant manner. There is no harm at all if one was to call EACC to verify whether or not an individual purporting to be acting on our behalf is indeed an officer of the Commission. An officer of EACC, as an official ID, they are required to introduce themselves. And therefore, if you doubt any person who comes to you purporting to be exercising enforcement functions, please contact EACC through any of its regional offices, through any of its numbers that are indicated on our website, through our toll free line 1551 1551, and we will verify. And if there is any person out there who may have been called by any of those fraudsters and they suspect that that is an official of EACC, kindly come to EACC, visit any of our regional offices, and we will verify, because there could be other victims out there, and we will do that in confidence without exposing you. The individuals arrested in Kakamega are currently at Ayenga police station, where they were detained yesterday, pending processing. EACC has received complaints relating to that region. There are many NGOs in the Western Kenya who are pretending and posing themselves as law enforcement bodies. Recently, we had another one in Bungoma calling itself the Anti-Corruption Investigation Authority. And it even goes to the level of putting caveat on land. So members of the public are advised to be vigilant and not succumb to the bribe demands and the extortion of these individuals. Let us expose these people, let us report them, so that you are saved from the damage that comes from such individuals. Those who are arrested will be dealt with in accordance with the law. We now have a database of the fraudsters that have been arrested in the past, those who have matters before court. We will publish them so that members of the public could identify any of them who may have conned them, purporting to be law enforcement officers executing lawful functions. That's all about Kakamega.